Hello everyone, and welcome back to some Elden Ring invasions. I've been stalking these two through the woods for just under 20 minutes, and I'm going to show you the finale of this one, and I'm going to talk about build optimization a little bit. Um, in a previous video I did in my Pokemon randomizer playthrough, I was talking about optimization and efficient gameplay, just kind of chatting about it. And really the point is that I want to try and make challenge runs and PvP and randomizers and things a little bit more accessible by encouraging gamers to show that what you're doing already is probably along those veins, and not to sweat the details too much. And invasions are a good example of that, because sometimes you just stab a gamer in the back that has less than 700 health when they're invadable at a rune level 87. Um, yeah, so sometimes things get chaotic. Like, so I will say, being able to so optimization in Elden Ring, I think the feel of it is a lot goes with damage maximization and like your inventory setup, defense buffs, a lot of like the hard numbers. Optimization isn't generally talked about in terms of like the decision making process as much. So so I'll keep that in mind. Like smart decision making also very important. But in terms of things like the difference between like 280 damage on a light attack and 300 damage on a light attack, yes, if the person has, it could result in an extra hit requiring to take someone out, or having that extra hit not be doable with fan daggers. But in invasions, you have a lot of silly scenarios, like the wizard was already poisoned and we're fighting a giant octopus by a ledge. So and when you throw in spells, heavy attack mix-ups, ashes of war, a lot of things get really messy. So it's hard to say whether or not you specifically need a particular damage output, because it's also very much dependent on the hosts and the phantoms setups as well, and invasions occur at a range. So I'd say it's very different than like formal duels at like rune level 125 or any types of tournament setups. So like with cooking, or home cooking I should say, like you can start with a recipe and follow it, but like your oven or stove might be a little bit different than what they were originally using. You might like different seasonings. Like one time I made pasta salad, I substituted white onions for the red onions because I just like the white onions better. Um, there's a lot of just little things that you can do um, to just help your build out, and not necessarily have it be like the S tier competitive build. Because if you're just invading to fight other gamers and hang out, things the 4 versus 5 light attacks kind of comes out as a wash in all of the chaos, in my opinion. Like, for example, the guy that took out more than half my health because I have Radican Sorceal on with his fireball, and I don't really have like, for example, I could be using the giant flame seal to boost the fireballs, but instead I'm just using the Godslayer seal. As I was mentioning, that guy just fell off the elevator and now it's a 1v1. So a lot of silly things happen, and I just want you to see the smart decision making coming in, using Mesmer's Orb, forcing them off the elevator, sending it back up, and then light in the corner. Like, that was ruthlessly efficient, and I love it. But GG guys. But so a lot of things can theoretically come out in the wash. So you can do a lot with a silly build, and like for me it's just like, whenever I lose an invasion, just try and think of one thing that I could have done better. Whether it be just a better decision, some part of the area, or even if I can't necessarily think of something, like I'll show later, like where I'm just a little bit stuck, just like analyze why things went wrong. And if you do that enough, just like with home cooking, you'll you'll get better, and you'll be able to compile all of your information and come up with a pretty robust build, even if it's something atypical. Because I don't think a lot of pyromancers at this particular level run Radigan Sourceal and a bunch of bleed resistance. Um, but yeah, Mesmer's Orb still absolutely fantastic. So yeah, so with these first invasions, it's more like it's it's not like they're not atypical invasions, but I would say is you have silly things happen. Like this guy who I didn't think usually comes out of the cave just come out and absolutely obliterate the host. Like I as you saw, like I was just looking around there because I'm just like I didn't think that guy came that far out of the cave. Um, and then in contrast, if someone is following what I'd say the PvP handbook a little bit too word by word, letter by letter, line by line, you can start doing some things like focus, like using endure to not get hit stun from the bleed, and then finally going around. Like this was almost a 10-minute invasion. That guy was using the Death Knight axes, the little ones and the big one. So he got a little nice Earl Grey morning tea because, and I think in this next clip, I think it'll show that he understood that just fight with all you got. You win some, you lose some. Have fun. And here I'm just chasing down the host with the Vulgar Militia Shuttle because 16 dexterity is a must because this thing is probably my favorite halberd just because of the shield pierce defense. But yeah, so like endure hand axe on a bleed resistance stack but not damage resistance stack, I was able to take down the backhand blades. And because every once in a while you invade the same dudes like 20 to 40 minutes later, and here I'm in Night Sacred Ground. The slime that turns into a giant is already dead, whether or not the Phantom deliberately took that out, or it just kind of got knocked out in all of the chaos. And now they also have an Overwatch cosplay blue here, so things are bad for me. So I'm gonna try, and the best solution I have to win is try and knock them off this ledge, because there's not, or knock the Phantom off the ledge, because there's not like I have good damage output, but not when there is two other dudes right there next to me, and I'm not really getting any support from the silver tiers, and there's nowhere to run to, unlike with in the last area where I could run out next by the Estelle bug. But yeah, so I try and use the fireball and knock him off, but end up dying. He walks past the blue and gives me a bow, so I think I don't know if he just forgot that it was me, but I think I think they understood. So GG guys, just it's about having fun and being silly. Not that I don't use some serious stuff every now and then. But if someone makes me some nice green tea for it, I probably deserved it. And this is another example of the following the, and I'm assuming like if you're watching at this point, you're chill enough to know that like it's not I'm not trying to judge these guys for like how specifically how they're playing. Like I would prefer to like have been waved at because he was running away from where the next part of the level is, but instead he just comes in trying for the heavy attack with Blood Flame Blade Flamberge on his strength build because he used Flame Grant Me strength and his two-handing, and is trying to get me caught in Stormcaller. Granted, this is all good stuff and he's like poised up, but it feels like I could have just been an NPC invader to this guy with how he was playing. So I was a little bit ruthless, but like I said, I'm not trying to judge for following the recipe. I'm just trying to point out that um, meta hunting is a thing. There are like what it's a lot easier to talk about in like TCGs, I think, or it like Zweihander versus like halberd axe combination type stuff of like like you are like meta hunting is using something that counters like the S tier setup incredibly well, and then if your opponent isn't able to adapt as well, then you can pull off the win even though you're using like a lower tiered thing. So again, just just talking, I'm just trying to facilitate some of the discussion and pull the veil back so there can just be fun stuff like fighting Dark Moon Merlin. Glintstone Scrap was amazing at breaking those shields versus I forgot the sword's name from Shadow of the Colossus, but being able to, and although it doesn't do damage with like the light beams or anything in that game, but having that sword where I can like shine sunlight on my opponents is really cool. I hope all of this is informative, entertaining, and that all of you have an absolutely amazing day. Um, Good hunting and good playing, and nice like 180 blind fireball. Again, have an amazing day, and I hope to catch you in the next video. See ya!